Welcome back to another episode of STL Real Estate Roundtable. I'm your host, Jaden Barr, CEO and team leader of Keller Williams Realty Chesterfield. And today I'm joined by a very special guest, Lindsay Doerr. Thank you so much for taking time to film a podcast episode with me. I appreciate you being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's dive right in.
Yeah.
What did you do prior to getting started in a career in real estate, and what led you to say, hey, I want to do a commission-only job?
Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting story, I guess you could say. So before real estate, I was home with my boys. I have two boys, Jack and Brady, and we raised them at home. Like, we kept them out of daycare, and that was what I did while my husband built his practice. And I was with them. I got into real estate, honestly, I kind of got bullied into it a little bit. I got an email. My husband had met with our financial planner, and I got a follow-up email that evening, and I was out of town, and it said, Lindsay's going to get her real estate license so that we could have some tax benefits. And that was the end of it. And I called my husband and I said, oh, excuse me, what? And he was like, we'll talk about it when you get home. And so we talked about it, prayed about it. And 6 months later, I had my license. And then a couple of my friends were at the brokerage that I'm at, and they said, you got to call Matt Becker. And so I called him, and kind of the rest is history. I told him I was never going to sell anything. I just wanted to have it. And he kind of looked at me and said, okay. And here we are a few years later, and I'm selling real estate and investing in real estate and coaching new agents. And it's a blast. I love it.
That is so much fun. It's awesome. That is awesome. So what was that first year in real estate like for you? So you got licensed in which year?
I got licensed in the middle of 2022.
2022, okay.
Yeah, so not been licensed very long. My sister actually called me right when I got licensed and said, hey, we want to sell our house. And so I was like, all right, well, I guess I can do that. And I had no idea what I was doing, and we did it. We figured it out. Yeah, I had a great mentor, and who walked me through the whole process, and we got it sold over asking, and it was great. I mean, real estate was easy in 2022. Mm-hmm. And then, so that first year was challenging, as it is for most agents. Most agents don't do a deal in their first 6 months. That's very typical. I had one. And then we fast forward to that first full year. We started getting into real estate investing, and I was going to list the property. Our rehab went amazing, and then it sat on the market. And we ended up closing that deal about 6 months after we had purchased it, which is a really long time in the real estate investing world. And we lost a lot of money. It was a miserable experience, but it was an education. I learned how to be a good agent. I learned how to advocate for my clients better. And so I learned how to be a better investor. And since then, it's been much better. So we had the first year and a half where we were losing money, and I was not selling a whole lot of real estate. And then the next year after that, I tripled my sales.
That's amazing. Yeah. Now you're coaching new agents.
I am.
So walk me through what that looks like. And you always have a passion for coaching, teaching, or did this just come out of
maybe not left field exactly. It was never something, real estate in general was not something that I was going to ever do. It was never a dream. It was never the plan. So things have kind of snowballed through, and I think I have the gifting to coach. And so it just kind of fell in my lap a little bit. I am a really good connector. So I'm always bringing people in, and they're like, will you coach me too? I'm like, I guess so. And our broker, is very kind and allows me to do that with a few of our new agents. So we have a mentorship program at Magnolia Real Estate, and it's very hands-on. We walk people through every deal, the first couple, make sure that, the paperwork's right, the process, all of the things. So, and I love doing that. I love watching other people win. And that's a really easy way to be a front row seat to watching somebody else win.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. So what were some of the you feel like the keys to your early success in real estate?
Yeah.
Because I know you get your license and it's like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
walk me through like what that process was like to see success. I know you mentioned like getting the plane off the ground.
Yeah.
Took a second.
Yeah.
And once you were for a second, you tripled your business. So
I did. Yeah. I think that we all have, a few of those agents that come right out of the gate and they're selling $7 million worth of real estate. And for most of us, that's just not the reality. It's great for those who do that. But for most, that's not the statistics. That's not typical. I think what's made me successful is great mentors. I got around people who were doing it. I got around people who were doing better than me, who were doing more than me, who were smarter than me. I've never been the smartest one in the room. And all of the coaches, all the gurus, all of the self-help people say be the dumbest one in the room. So that at a baseline was not super challenging, but I got around people who were doing what I wanted to do, and I listened. And I watched, and I showed up. I showed up to everything. There were things that I had no business showing up to, and I would just be in the office. I had a mentor who said, "This is your office too. Show up, be here." And I did. And I think that absolutely has attributed to my success.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's so many agents out there that need to hear that, right? I mean, we went into, I don't know what the COVID experience was like for you, but, going from being involved in community to having that like all stripped way back to where you're not going into the office, you're not going out and meeting new people, you're not interacting with others. Like we as humans, we crave community.
Yes.
And I think that's a big piece of success is being around and surrounding yourself with other people that are at the level or higher than
100%. 100%. I mean, we're in a relationship business, right? So we have relationships with our clients, and we want to build the rapport there. But I also think a huge part of that is building relationships with other agents, with other people who are doing more, and surrounding yourself with it, because you're the sum of the people that you spend your time with, right? So I think that's vitally important, especially for a new agent. I tell every new agent, show up. Sit in the office, even if you have nothing else to do. There were so many times I had nothing to do, but I would put in the reps, I'd put in the time, and I would talk to people and I would ask questions that I probably should have known, but I didn't know. And so I would be in someone's office going, hypothetically, if this happened, what would I do? And we are a family at Magnolia Real Estate for one, but they have all been very gracious to me and willing to answer those questions. And that's the culture, which I think is a huge part of it too.
Yeah, I love that. So as far as like new agents go, I think you kind of already touched on it, but like having limiting beliefs and you get your license, you don't know a thing, right?
Yeah.
And so my encouragement to all new agents is that you don't have to know it all. If you wait till you know it all to actually take action and put yourself out there and, get in the game, you're going to be waiting a very long time because as I'm sure you found out very quickly, like this industry is always changing. You're going to learn something new from every single deal, whether it's on the investing side or resale side. And so I think advice to like any new agent, like the data shows that 75% of home buyers only interviewed one agent last year. And for home sellers, 81% only interviewed one agent. So that stat in itself should give you encouragement that you don't have to know it all. You just have to be the first person to the kitchen table.
Yes.
And you've got a 75% chance of getting hired.
100%.
Right?
100%.
So, and at the end of the day, people work with people they know, like, and trust.
Yes.
So if you're comfortable saying, I don't know the answer to that question, but I'm going to go find out the answer to that question, I think that's a way to build trust.
Yes.
You don't have to have it all together.
Yeah. Leverage your team, leverage your resources, leverage the people who are there to help you out.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So walk me through kind of like your vision for your business for the next 12 months. What's the ideal real estate business look like for you?
The ideal real estate business for me for the next 12 months, I have some really big goals this year. We want to expand, my husband and I want to expand our our rental portfolio and our investing side of things. So that's super important to us. That was kind of the purpose of getting into real estate. The other things have kind of happened along the way. So the goal is that we build our portfolio as far as flipping and as far as rentals go. So that's number one. The next thing is continuing to coach new agents. I love that. I think I'm pretty good at it. I have a passion for people learning and winning. And so that's another part of it. And then next I want to, we increased my goal, which is maybe not big for some people, but we've increased that goal on retail sales this year too. So growing my buyers, my sellers and things like that this year, I want to do way more than I did last year. And last year was a good year. So it's kind of a tall order, and I'm hopeful and, putting in the time to do those things, hopeful that it'll come to fruition.
I love it. So you mentioned you're a boy mom.
I am.
2 boys.
Yes.
So what, I think a lot of agents out there, they build their real estate business. They're trying to balance family life and work life. And like, we have a job that you're taking calls at night and you're, writing offers on vacation. And there's a lot of things that go into it that kind of people don't see with the highlight reels that are on social media.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you manage the work-life balance and prioritize family and make sure that that's, a priority?
Yeah. So kind of a loaded question there. I do have 2 boys, and so they're the number one priority, right? So I had a kiddo who was sick this week. Everything shuts down when your kid's sick. So that's just the way that it goes. You can panic and you can stop and things can, not go well, or you can plan your life out so that when that 20% of the time happens and you don't get to go to the office or go to the meeting or do the thing, you don't panic. So I've worked really closely with a coach to kind of get the mindset straight on that. So like 80% of the time, I know what my weeks are going to look like. I know what my hours are going to look like, and I structure them accordingly. That being said, with my family, I turn the phone off. Very rarely are there massive real estate emergencies that need to be dealt with this moment. So if my kids are with me and they need my full attention or it's dinner time, I don't answer the phone. I will answer the phone afterward. I will return those calls, those texts, all of those things. And we do work late at night sometimes, because sometimes that's just when your clients are available and when they can talk. But during those afternoon hours in particular, my phone's off as much as it can be. But then I think the other side of it too is it's important for your kids to see you work. And it's important for them to see that mom can be an achiever as well. And so they understand real estate, they understand what I'm doing, and they ask questions about it. So it's kind of fun to be able to share some of that with it. But I think a lot of its boundaries, don't have it all figured out, but we're doing well. I also have a huge support system of family who's right there. So that's massively helpful as well.
Yeah, we're figuring out the importance of having family.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, man, we need a date night. Come on. Come on.
Yes.
Yeah, I hear you there. So social media, I think it's a topic that all agents are trying to figure out.
Yeah.
How to utilize social media for your business and how to share the real life behind a career in real estate through social media. What's your approach to social media and how do you utilize it for your business?
Yeah, I use it quite a bit. I feel like I'm posting all the time. Some stuff hits and some doesn't, and that's just what it is. I feel like, and I tell other people this too, with social media, being who you are is the most important thing, because we don't want the talking head, right? Like, yes, we're all putting the highlight reel out. Like, it's not all real life. A lot of social media is fake. We know this, but when I'm on there, it's who I am. Like, this is the mess of the house right now. This is what I'm doing with my kids. They're making silly faces and we're doing boomerangs because that's what they think is fun. And so we'll post those things occasionally. So my approach is just being real and being honest and giving value, having value in what I'm talking about. Honestly, like, I tell people who are afraid to post on social media, nobody cares, for one, that much. Yeah. Like, they really don't. But also they're curious, right? Like, so they want to see your life. People want to see my face. They want to see my family. Like, what's happening? What are you doing now? And they want to make fun of me because I use, the wrong product for something. And maybe it's what I had on on hand, and that's why I used it. But I'm okay with getting teased, and it makes it more fun, and more people are engaging, and it's great.
Your boys like being involved with your social media, like
yes,
coming up with real ideas and things.
Yes, they think it's pretty hilarious. So yeah,
that's awesome. Take me through kind of like the biggest lessons learned over the years, being in real estate, and like maybe even I think a lot of times we share, like you said, the highlight reel. We share the mountaintop, but we don't talk about like the nitty gritty of running a business. That looks like, and the challenges and the struggles, and I think more people want to hear that. So maybe if you have any examples or just any lessons learned since your time being.
So since I haven't been in it for decades and decades, my time has been short and mostly sweet, I would say, with it. But the lessons I've learned are endless, honestly. Like, I think everything about my mindset has completely changed, and that was a huge challenge. I think real estate, it's a mind game a lot of the time, because we have really high highs and we have really low lows. We have months where we don't have any closings. There's not a paycheck coming in, and then there's other times and other seasons where you feel like you just can't miss. And I think that's the biggest lesson in real estate, is like, you have to ride the wave, and you have to plan accordingly for when things are not coming in as much as you'd like. And I learned that pretty quickly with real estate investing as well. When you walk through a deal that basically breaks you, essentially, you learn grit, you learn who you can trust, and you learn to fix your mindset and to keep moving forward, because we don't fail when we stop, or we fail when we quit. You have to keep going. You don't fail when you lose on something. We learned a lot. So I think that's probably like the biggest thing that I've learned, is if I quit, I fail. But if I lose, then I'm still learning. So it's not a failure.
Yeah. John Maxwell has a book called Failing Forward.
Love that book.
Yeah.
Great book.
Very, very good.
Yeah.
Where do you see have you noticed any shifts in the market here in St. Louis? Anything different happening? Any trends you're noticing?
I feel like the market's really healthy right now. I think things are going well right now. I keep hearing agent after agent getting stuff under contract. So that's really exciting. I think the tricky part in St. Louis right now, and maybe this is across the board, if you price it right, it's going to sell. If you overprice it, people don't want to mess with it. And then when it sits for a long time, we still have buyers who are not so sure why things are sitting, when, even though we know that's normal, like, the average on market in St. Louis County is 14 days? Is that something around? Might be higher than that now. In St. Charles County, it's a little bit lower than that. If things stay on market a little bit longer, buyers are immediately thinking something's got to be wrong. And that's just not true. It could be a number of things. Maybe the house was originally priced too high for the neighborhood. Maybe it's just the timing even. Maybe they got an offer and it's coming back on market. There's 1,000 different reasons it could be, but something wrong is probably not the case. So I've seen that happening in the market. If you're priced well and you're priced competitively, things are going. Things aren't going typically $30,000, $40,000 over anymore. I think things are staying pretty steady. And when you're priced right for your area, you're selling it. So yeah.
Yeah, so by the time this is released, maybe it's a totally different story.
Probably. Probably. I feel like it changes like weekly.
Yeah. That's one of the fun parts of being in real estate, is like I said, like every deal is different. You're going to learn something on every transaction, and the market's always changing. And it's like, yes, every day is somewhat the same. Mm-hmm. It should be, at least, like, if you want to build a big business, like you got to focus on your dollar producing activities, which is lead generating.
Yes.
And that looks different for everyone, right? There's 1,000 different ways to generate business. And we see that all across the board with successful agents, and just their story of how they built their business. But every day is somewhat different too, right?
Yes.
Have fires pop up all the time. And I think trying to trying to manage your time effectively is always that constant push and pull.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What I found is like agents that are, we have at KW, we have triangle, and it's leads at the bottom, listings, leverage. So we've got leads, listings, leverage. So the 3 L's of a millionaire real estate agent. If you've read MREA from Gary Keller, it's in that book. But agents with 0 to 5 million in production, they have a leads problem, right? They need more leads.
Yeah.
And really what he says is until you have enough leads that you don't know what to do with, you have no other problem.
Right.
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 So 0 to 5 million is leads, and then 5 to 10 is listings. You're probably more buyer heavy, and you need to focus more on listings to get that breakthrough.
Right.
And then 10 million plus is all about leverage. Right? Yeah. You're taking the calls on vacation, and you have no one to stand in your place so that you can actually enjoy your life outside of real estate. And you need more leverage in your business. So it rings true with every agent that I talk to, right?
Yeah.
Any level that they're at, we can kind of pinpoint
like what's happening. Yeah. Yeah.
Business.
Yeah. 100%. And I will say, I think also, and maybe you can speak to this a little bit more as far as like the market and the way things are going. I think the agents are kind of the bad agents, people say, are kind of going by the wayside, those who aren't really invested. And we're hopefully getting to a season where we got some really good agents. I know I mentioned this in a text to you. I worked with a KW Chesterfield agent recently, and it was a dream. Like, we had a great interaction through the whole process. We hit a couple of hiccups in the road, not that person's fault, not my fault. It was just the way that the deal went. And they were incredibly professional and did the right things in the right ways. And I think having a good agent on the other side, while it's not necessary, it sure makes the transaction way more enjoyable, to the point where like we've talked about it. We would love to collaborate on the next deal. If she has a buyer, I'm going to call her when I've got a property, like that I think might fit for, and just building that relationship. And I think that was awesome. Yeah. It was great.
Yeah. I tell everybody, like, I guess when people are hiring an agent, you want to hire an agent that is not only well connected in the community and with, they have a good business, but they're also connected with other agents, because that is what's going to drive
100%
people to your listing and help you as a buyer. Because when you're up against 10 other offers and that agent on the other side knows you, knows your reputation, your reputation precedes you.
Yes.
So making sure that you're well connected in the agent community is just as important as being well connected to buyers and sellers.
Absolutely. My husband is not an agent at all. And the last property that we sold, he was like, whoever that agent was, let's remember her for the next one that we sell, because if she has a buyer, we know that we want to work with her. And was like, you get it. Like, that's who we want, right? As long as the terms, the numbers, all of those things make sense. But just, picking up the phone saying, hey, what's it going to take to get the deal done? How can we make it most appealing? And let's communicate all the way through. I mean, that goes, miles and miles.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And that's one of the favorite parts about my job is just like agent to agent relationship, right? So I obviously have a sales business of my own, but then I'm in a leadership role at KW Chesterfield. So my job is to get in a relationship with agents, which is awesome, because every agent's kind of on their own journey, and it's a recruiting role, but I'm really not recruiting an agent because the reality is like KW's not the right fit for everyone.
Right.
Like if you got a great home at Magnolia and you're super happy there, and I'm still going to cheer you on and root for your success and hopefully be a resource for you any way that I can.
Absolutely.
So it's just funny to me because, I'm here to be a resource for people. And the reality is, like, there's a lot of great brokerages out there.
Yeah.
A lot of agents at all those brokerages.
Absolutely.
And we can all find a way to play nice in the sandbox.
Exactly.
Collaborate.
Exactly.
Make the industry better as a whole. So that's the whole purpose behind this podcast.
Absolutely. We're better together.
Yep. 100%. So passion for coaching, passion for real estate now, even though you didn't know you had it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. What do you like to do outside of real estate with your family or just in general?
Yeah. So we love to travel. The kids and I just got back from Florida, spring breaking, there with grandma and grandpa.
There we go.
So that was a lot of fun. So yeah, we travel quite a bit. Like I said, I have 2 boys. They are 8 and 10, almost 11, he would make me say. And so sports are kind of life. I never knew that I would know so much about college basketball, but I am in it. I mean, I know players. I mean, it's a little unbelievable. And when they go to the NBA, I'm like, I know what team that guy was on. And yeah. Oh, yeah. I know it all. And I don't want to know it all, but we know all the things about basketball and football. And so they're playing flag football right now. So we spend a lot of time carting them around. We're just in that busy season of life with them. So that's a lot of what we like to do. My husband and I like to try new restaurants. So if you've got any suggestions, we're always up for, new places for date nights and friends nights. So yeah.
What's been like your favorite part about being in real estate?
Oh, the people.
I'll say the most challenging and then favorite.
The people, right? I mean, both. Like you could answer that both ways. Yeah, I love connecting with people. Like if somebody sent me a property this week, I don't have anybody for that property, but I know somebody who works that specific city, that area, like that's where she farms. And so I sent it to her, and like, that's my favorite thing. Like I get to connect a wholesaler to an agent because I know the wholesaler, I value them. I like them. They are friends. We're in the same mentorship group. I want them to win. And so, of course, I'm going to send them to the agent that specifically works that area. And so that for me is always fun, is, connecting people. And it's also sometimes the most challenging thing.
People are going to people.
Yeah, always, always.
You mentioned your path, real estate investing. Sad reality is that there's a lot of agents out there that don't invest in real estate.
Yeah.
Right? Any other industry, it's considered insider trading.
Yeah.
It's illegal.
Yeah.
There's so many agents that just don't take advantage of building wealth through real estate.
Yep.
So it's exciting to hear that you're on that journey yourself. And what advice would you give to someone that's looking to get started investing in real estate?
Find somebody to help coach you. Put in the reps, find a mentor, join a mentorship group. I'm a part of a great one. You're not going to just learn it on YouTube videos. You can learn a lot, but get in the room where other people who are doing what you want to do, get in their room with them and learn from them. Yeah. So that would be 100% the first place to start.
Be a sponge.
Yes.
Yeah. I think getting 1% better each day, that's kind of like the mantra for me. And so you're not going to learn it all in a day.
Yeah.
I won't try to.
Right.
But if you can be in a room and you can pick up one thing that you can go take action on.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah. 100%. Totally agree.
You've mentioned several times the importance of coaching.
Yeah.
It sounds like you have just a growth mindset.
Yes.
Right? You're always looking to grow and to learn.
Mm-hmm.
What's been the biggest impact that you've seen coaching have on you, either personally or professionally?
Oh man, that's kind of a loaded question too. So I think you can go a couple different routes. So I have a business coach, and I work with him. Specifically, we have one-on-one coaching. I'm part of his team of coaching. So, I mean, I am being coached by him and his team. And I love it. So I think there are a lot of really good coaches out there. I think there's a lot of gurus. But there's a lot of people who say that you can do it all by yourself and that you just need to pull it up from within you. And I don't submit to that logic. It doesn't make sense to me. So I found a coach who has the same faith as me, and has the same belief system. And so I think that's massively important in my opinion. So if you're gonna let somebody, in on like what's going on in your head, maybe you should align a little bit. So that's for one. So I've been working with one on that. And that's mindset and intentionality, being intentional in the way that I build my week, being intentional in the way that I build my month and my quarter and my year. And then we break it down into hour by hour. That's how we schedule things. So that's been hugely important. And then I'm also in a mentorship group for real estate investing. And so learning from other people and learning from guys who, own millions and millions of dollars of real estate and getting in the room with them virtually and in real life has been massively helpful. Awesome.
So you've touched on your faith
Yeah.
I want to give you just a platform to share, like, how has your faith kind of centered you on those tough days or carried you through the emotional roller coaster that is real estate?
Yeah. Man, more loaded questions here. Yeah, I think that my faith in Jesus is what holds me together in general. It's what keeps me focused. It's the why behind everything that I want to do. I'm not perfect. I don't do it well all the time. But I think that there's a safe place to land there in a lot of ways. And that's rooted in my faith in the Lord and on scripture. And so when things have gotten really, really hard and I've sat there and said, I literally cannot get off of the bathroom floor because I'm just miserable. We're just losing so much. How do I keep moving forward? And it's the Lord saying, I'm still here, and it's that faith that I've had since I was a kid. And yeah, that doesn't change, like you have to be renewing of your mind often. And so I think in real estate and in learning things about mindset, like taking it back to what our faith is, right? And I think that's massively important. And I think that also goes into how you treat other people. Like I would much rather lose a deal than do the wrong thing in it, like money's just not worth it. I'd rather you win and keep my integrity with it than anything else. So
some of the best deals you'll ever do are the ones you don't.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. Last question.
Okay.
What's the most impactful book or podcast that you read that's led to some of this growth mindset?
Yeah. Hidden Potential by Adam Grant.
Okay.
Fantastic. He wrote Atomic Habits as well. Everything about that it's awesome. I love that. So that one, and then The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry. We were chatting about that a little while ago. And yes, our mutual friend gave that to me a couple of years ago. And I think I kind of always go back to that one. Like when things are going further, like those principles of slow it down and then push again, right? Are vitally important, and sharing that with other friends. That's probably the one I've shared with people the most.
100%.
Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. There's a lot of really good ones. But yeah, that's probably one of for somebody who doesn't stop, like my head is always going and like we're always moving and I'm always like, let's do the next thing. Let's do the next thing. That one is really humbling because I don't want to just sit in it,
Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of, whether you're faith-based or not, I think so many of those principles, like if you just applied them, like you would see
100%.
Results, right?
Yeah.
So, well, great insights, Lindsay. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. Really appreciate your time, and I know everybody that's watching is going to get a ton of value from it. So
thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, we'll see you in the next episode.